unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time.
Have you ever had Tofurkey? Maybe recently you might have tried it. Tofurkey. Part tofu, part turkey. Wrong! 0 parts turkey. There is no turkey in Tofurkey. It is tofu with some mysterious flavors in it. I don't have any problem with Tofurkey. I don't. Tofurkey is not turkey. Alright? And that's not a problem either. Everything doesn't need to be turkey. There are lots of things we eat on Thanksgiving that aren't turkey, that we like. Well, that you like. I don't really like yams. You might like yams, but I don't like yams. And you know what I'm talking about when I say yams. Because yams are a thing. Like turkey is a thing. When you call your product Tofurkey, you're asking me, you're challenging me to compare it to turkey. And that's fine. I can compare anything to anything all day long. I do not have a problem with comparing any two items. I can and will compare apples and oranges. Right? But in no way does that make an apple an orange. Or an orange an apple. And it is good that oranges are called oranges and apples are called apples, because that facilitates communication. I know I sound like I'm talking down to you. I probably always sound like that. It's probably why everybody hates me. But I can't help it. I'm just going to be me. I'm Merkley. I'm an imitation form of me today. So this is obvious shit, you know. I don't care. If you want to, I get why you would want to call your thing Tofurkey. I would say that a person who is motivated by not wanting to see turkeys die would make something that was an alternative, so that people who wanted to engage in Thanksgiving with other people would feel included and, you know, not feel isolated, so that you'd give them an alternative. Here, try this instead, I think is probably the motivation for that, which is fine. I think that's a perfectly lovely sentiment and reason for doing something. But it's still not turkey. Now, if you came out, if this company, this soy peddling enterprise, which I assume they are, they're making it out of soy, which is, tofu is soy, right? If they had come out and just called it turkey, here, have some turkey. Well, that would be false advertising, wouldn't it? Because it's not turkey. You couldn't just call your Tofurkey turkey. That would be immoral, illegal, if you were selling it. You know, if you were playing a joke on your friend and you'd build some rapport with your friend, you could basically convince them to eat anything by telling them it's something else. That's called being a practical joker. A lot of times jokes require outright deception. But you can't really, trade in jokes. You can't call something that's not beef, beef. You can invite the comparisons to it. Tofurkey is a perfect example. Anyway, so I went to log on to Facebook today, and it told me I couldn't post for 3 days. When it told me why, it's because I had reposted a meme I found on Facebook, which was a joke alluding to the fact that men are better than women, and, it's a joke. It's like apples are better than oranges. It's silly, right? But the way that this joke explained itself is men really are better than women. It had a picture of Bruce Jenner as Caitlyn Jenner, and then it listed all how men had taken over women's sports. And in fact, Bruce Jenner had won Woman of the Year. And above that joke that somebody else had made, a meme, I had written, "It's getting harder to write absurdist jokes." Because, of course, Bruce Jenner, or Caitlyn Jenner, is not a joke. That human being is a human being. The absurd part is that Bruce Jenner, or Caitlyn Jenner, isn't calling herself Tofurkey. She's calling herself Turkey. You see where I'm getting at here? It's fine to be Tofurkey. But forcing me to call Tofurkey Turkey is fucking weird. Okay? It's wrong. It's false advertising. You see, women are a thing and men are a thing. This is the big controversy. And I'll probably I'm banned for having that discussion. For discussing that there is a difference between men and women. Not for discussing whether one is better. Well, my tag was meant to say, to allude to the fact that I don't care. I'm not saying, the context of my joke was completely ignored. I've been pushing individualism for decades now, meaning that I don't place the value of one human being over the value of another, or at least I think that society, aka government, should. The individuals are important. I don't care if you're a man, I don't care if you're a woman, I don't care if you're a transsexual, which is a good way to describe, it's a good way for humans to be a Tofurkey, right? In other words, it alludes to it. It invites the comparison. It gives you a hint. It says, this is an alternative. This is something else you can eat at Thanksgiving and not feel left out. But it's not turkey. Tofurkey. That's what transsexual was for. That's what tranny was for, that they banned. Can't say tranny. It's like, can you imagine banning the word Tofurkey and being forced to use the word turkey for Tofurkey? You can't call it anything but turkey. It's not made out of turkey. Bears little resemblance to turkey. Literally, side by side, if you put Tofurkey and turkey next to each other. I suppose on Thanksgiving, if you've had, 15 or 20 drinks, you might not be able to tell the difference. If you plugged your nose and, I don't know, taste is weird anyway. Like double-blind taste tests where you don't know what you're tasting, it gets weird. You've seen that on Top Chef, right? Where you put a pineapple in somebody's mouth and they don't know what the fuck they're eating. It gets weird. Like we're so programmed to use all of our senses, not just one in isolation. That sometimes we don't know what we're eating if we don't see it first, you know. So, in that scenario, when you're blind, you're denying a sense, but you're actually doing it. You're covering your eyes. This whole way of censoring speech and banning it. See, now I can't post for 3 days. They're putting me in a cool out, so I can't talk about it. So you won't even hear this on Facebook for 3 days until the event has long since passed, you know. They're putting me in a timeout so that I can't even talk about what's happened. The idea of language. I can't talk about the language. You can't talk about Caitlyn Jenner, a.k.a. former Bruce Jenner. You can't talk about that in societal terms. The decision has been made by certain people that there is no distinguishable difference between tofu and turkey. Tofu, when it is served at Thanksgiving, is turkey. It's not an alternative to turkey. It is turkey. Okay? Doesn't matter that it didn't have legs or eyeballs or wings or feathers at any time in its evolution. Never did. No, it was a bean. A soybean. But it's the same as a turkey. That's what kind of weird shit is going on right now. What does it mean? I think it means it's just going to all blow up in their face eventually. It kind of is. Because people are absolutely sick and tired of this fucking bullshit. Nobody can figure out exactly what's really going on. I think everybody collectively is going, what the fucking fuck are you doing trying to force me into calling tofu turkey? It's going to blow up in their face. They think they're just going to control it, but they're not. The conversation continues whether they like it or not. You know where it continues? It continues off site. Like where it is here. And if you tell us we can't talk about it on your site, we're going to go somewhere else. And if you keep saying we can't talk about this or that, then we no longer want to even be a part of your ridiculous little fucking party where we have to call Tofurkey turkey. That is how you get no visitors at your Thanksgiving dinner. If that's what you want, if you don't want anybody to come to your Thanksgiving dinner, then serve them Tofurkey and demand that it's motherfucking turkey. And people will find somewhere else to eat dinner. Okay? So go ahead with your bad self, you stupid fuckers. You know? Go ahead and ban me for 3 days. Do you really think you're changing the world? It won't work. We've read this book. It's called 1984. It's a work of genius. It was supposed to be a work of fiction. It's turning out to be a prophecy. You know? It's insane. Okay? Men are not superior to women. Women are not superior to men. They are part of nature, and when we talk about them, using language, we do so to communicate clearly And clear communication is very important. It's important that people know what's what. The more articulate you can get, the better. So I don't mind. Again, I don't mind. In fact, I appreciate that you're calling something Tofurkey. I get it. You want the comparison. Nobody's going to eat Tofurkey unless they were in the mood for turkey but have a reason why they can't eat turkey or won't eat turkey. You're likely never going to choose that product out of the blue and say, what is this delicious thing that's called something completely new that doesn't invite comparison to turkey? And I think that's what you're trying. But that's not what you're trying to do with Bruce Jenner and trans movement. You'd like to eliminate the word trans altogether so that they just blend in. But I'm saying there's nothing wrong. If you want to be trans and that's the way you feel, then just call yourself trans and deal with it. Be articulate. False advertising is bad. Deception is bad. It's fun for jokes, practical jokes on your friends, although you can only play those kinds of jokes a few times. If you say, hey, John, open your mouth, I have a piece of candy, and you put a bug in his mouth, you've got a few times where John's going to open his mouth for you, and then he will never do it again. The trust is going to break down, and guess what you don't have when you don't have trust? You don't have a friend any longer. You might have a potential butt of your joke, but you no longer have a friend. Do you want friends? Do you want people at your Thanksgiving dinner? Be honest with them. Quit telling them how to think. Quit telling them to change their fucking language to conform to your fantasy. You're fine the way you are. Whatever you are. Whether you're a trans woman, trans man, or just a regular man, or a woman, a man. You see, words are important. Prefixes are important. Suffixes are important. Use those words to describe yourself as best as you can. You want people to be able to find you. Use your keywords. Woman. It's a person with a womb. That's where the woo comes from. Men don't have wombs. Therefore, they don't have the woo. They're missing the woo. The woe. If you've got it, good for you. If you don't, fine. If you're going around trying to trick people, you're a practical joker. You're a practical jerker. What the furking furk? My name is Tofurkey. Or I would be if I was an imitation version of me. Which I am often. Anyway, I won't be posting this for 3 days, at least on Facebook, because Caitlyn Jenner is not Tofurkey. Caitlyn Jenner is turkey. Thanks for listening.